Welcome, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Sunday, June 1st. Flying out of the deck is our first card. I didn't even finish getting the date out. June 1st, 2025. Can I have the second card in our 5-card spread? First and second card. Wow, this is a different energy from yesterday. We've got here our Empress card in its upright in combination with our 7 of Cups in its reversal. So I want to talk a little bit about what we're experiencing. And it was actually really interesting because if you were here yesterday, I was doing a lot of this. I started doing the reading. And I started picking up on what felt like a lot of Cancerian energy. There was a lot of tenderness that was coming through as it relates to the space of the emotions and feelings. Now, yesterday we started yesterday's reading with the King of Cups in its reversal and the High Priestess in its reversal. Now, I would not be surprised if there was a lot of working through emotionality yesterday. I was just identifying that there was a lot of that. And yesterday, masculine and feminine were both very much in parallel. And bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. It felt like a lot of energy of heavy contemplation in relationality to the feelings, working through a state of rest. And I think it's interesting because I keep on hearing it's like rested restlessness, if that makes sense. Now, halfway through the reading, I was like, I need to get to the bottom of this. And I recognized that there's a couple of factors that are weighing into where some of these emotionality is coming from. Venus and Chiron are almost on top of each other right now. They're in very close proximity. And we've also got Saturn almost on top of Neptune as well. So, and I'm going to kind of say the same thing that we spoke about yesterday, in the fact that there's a lot of different factors that are happening energetically right now. And the thing about it is when you would take them in their separateness, they would already feel like a lot. But in combination, it can feel very emotional, very compassionate, very, very tender, as it were. But it also feels to me like there's a lot of catharsis that's coming through. Now, and the catharsis has to do as it relates to being able to recognize and identify how far one has come. Now, for feminine energy, and I think it's interesting too, because yesterday for feminine energy, we got the High Priestess in its reversal. The High Priestess in its reversal can often feel very much akin to the Empress, right? Because it's working into the space of of not kind of wanting to hold back, is what I keep on seeing, right? It's like it feels a lot like, and I think a lot of the energy that we keep on experiencing right now in this space has a lot to do that we've got the fact that Mars is in Leo. So there's a lot of this desire to be able to talk about the things that we care about, right? And this is positive. This is productive because I feel like it has a lot to do with intention and also clarifying misconceptions. And for masculine energy as well, okay, we saw this very similar placement with the King of Cups in its reversal, right? I almost feel like yesterday there was almost a lot of conversation as it relates to the anxiety that often arrives in the space of being misunderstood, right? There's often those moments that we sometimes feel it's hard to express the things that we're feeling. And what I like about this, and I actually think that this is very positive, okay, these two cards in combination right now during the energy that we're experiencing is building into the space of focus. It's building into the space of intentionality, right? It's working into the space that feeling and expression, right? Like this is what we talk about with emotional alignment. It's not just enough to talk about what we care about, but moving in the directionality of it. And this is why I keep on seeing that something about receiving that right now for some of the energy and separation, working into the authenticity of self, right? This is that majestic energy that we spoke upon with the Empress. Helps us see with clarity what was energetically missing in past connections. Particularly and especially because we saw that ability, right? Like it's not, I keep on hearing, it's not just enough to like love the things that we love. We also have to be in the space of liking them, right? Because often when we come into that space where we love something or we love someone, but then we start feeling like we need to change it, right? This is working out the fact that a healthy manifestation isn't looking at something with a sense of scrutiny. It's looking at the possibility of the expansion point of the self. When we arrive to situations, right? We don't say, I don't like this. We say, what do I have to do to bring that force of change to something? And what I'm seeing here for this combination of the 3 and the 7, the Empress and the 7 of Cups, is a lot of these new partnerships that are starting right now has the ability, I keep on hearing, not only are they finding the ability to communicate upon the manifestation goals, but they're also seeing the qualities and characteristics that are necessary and desired that allow one to move in accordance to it, right? Because it's not just like, it's not, I keep on hearing like the healthy manifestation isn't just about wishing for things. It's about walking in the directionality of what one finds is possible. And so everything we keep on seeing here, it's also a lot of a karmic release that's happening at this time, because if these are relationships that are being navigated and they're prioritizing authenticity and they're feeling that sense of the energy, like working through something and almost apologizing for something about the self, right? We also saw that some of these relationships, they're healing as it relates to the revelation of contradiction. Saying something about the self that one may have heard repeatedly in some kind of past experience, and another person saying, I haven't seen any, like, I haven't seen that, right? Like, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that. Like, something you're saying is not something I see. There's a lot of this energy that is working through the understanding of what wasn't working via the healthy relationship that is helping build into the space of reinforcing the confidence between what another person is trying to change within the self versus what another person is finding there, right? So, and again, I keep on seeing like this isn't the energy that says I've always been this way, but it almost feels like the relationship itself is reaffirming because they're reaffirming the work. And this is what we do, right? The healthy relationship that is affirmation in terms of how far we've come. This brings us to our center card. Center card for today's reading is, boom, we've got here the Four of Wands in its upright. I love a Four of Wands in the center of the spread. This is a very, very different energy from yesterday. It feels like, and I'm going to point this out. Okay. If you are having a moment right now where you're like, I feel completely different than I felt yesterday, I would like to remind you, okay, this is what I'm talking about. Okay. I would like to remind you that we're going through Gemini season right now. And so it can be a lot of fast movement through things, even in the space of emotionality. Okay. And that's why I keep on saying that effectively I want you to be navigating the fact that eclipse rules have to apply right now. Because again, emotions don't have the map. Emotions are feelings. But when we're able to navigate how we feel, but stay the course in terms of what we're trying to manifest, it allows for a lot of that possibility to open up. It allows for a lot of that ability to kind of like, I keep on hearing, like getting things off the chest, but getting things off the chest in a way that feels like it is productive. Finding ways to get things off the chest that feel like they're healing. Because what does it often feel like when we're just trying to ease something that's hard for us to feel, right? We have to think about the fact, I keep on hearing, when we get something off the chest, not feeling an aversion for our feelings, we're able to walk through something that is difficult for us to express, right? But when we're feeling too much of that top level, right? When we're feeling too much of that space that we're just running into the conduit of the feelings that are constantly shifting, it can feel more like we are irritable, okay? So what do we see is happening? So yesterday, the energy was like super irritable. And so here, I see that this is potentially talking through irritability, working through ennui, right? Like working through the ineffable. Welcome to Gemini energy. Welcome to all of this Gemini energy in Gemini season. This brings us, and that's what I see a lot of the energy coming into Divine Union doing. Fourth and fifth cards in our 5-card spread for energy deep within Divine Union right now. We've got here the 6. Ooh, there it is. Yep. Ouch. We've got here the 6 of Swords in its upright in combination with the 5 of Cups in its upright. And I find that this is really interesting because I just keep on seeing for the energy right now that is in separation, there's a lot of looking forward. You know, I see that there's a lot of this energy that is looking very much forward, and they're staying very focused on the present because there's something about the conversations that are happening that are showing another person how far they've come. For a lot of the energy that's coming into Divine Union right now, there's a lot of that concentration on the present. The observation of like looking, like building into every day, right? And like coming into the space of new reality. Like I told you, it almost feels a little bit energetically surreal. For a lot of the energy deep within Divine Union, this is looking back on the past right now. There's a lot of this heavy energy that I'm seeing in relationality to observing something from the past or seeing something from the past or being able to articulate upon something in a way that you couldn't, specifically and particularly because I keep on seeing that this is still a lot of the energy that's working through that Scorpio in Taurus cycle, which we are basically talking upon in relationality to being able to observe the path of change, right? And that ability of doing so, I keep on seeing that this is the energy that talks in that fashion because it is, it's honoring the journey is what I keep on hearing. And that's where some of this sentimentality that may be coming through right now with Venus, like almost like right on top of Chiron, continuing to get clarification between our Empress card and our 7 of Cups in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Death card. There's that force of transformation. And the thing that we're seeing here is for a lot of this energy right now, you know, and here's the thing about it, and I was really glad that we were able to do that Death card class just a few weeks ago, because often when we're experiencing cycles, like there's a very interesting conversation that happens as it relates to change between Taurus and Gemini, right? Because Taurus has a very healed relationship to time. the anxiety point for a lot of Taurus, those with Taurus placements, has to do with navigating change. Gemini is great, is like buddy buddy with change. Like Gemini is like change. You know what I mean? Like it's exciting. It creates that, like, it is that ability. Like it's amazing. I love the conversation that we often see between Taurus and Gemini, because Taurus is like, working into that space of comfortability, right? It's working on something and it's like honing the skill. It's like refining the craft. And then Gemini is like jack of all trades energy. It's like this, right? It's like, what else you got? It's like, I can do I can do anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, but this is why when we harmonize between these points, we see that there's a beautiful conversation that occurs as it relates to working through, right? When we are able to persevere through our own frustration, it allows the possibility of anything that is possible, right? It's not about one way or another. It's about being able to look at a situation and determine what one needs to bring to it, right? Like whether one needs to bring perseverance or adaptability. And so I think it's really fascinating, because I'm getting here that the message that's happening across all of the frequencies right now is working through what one needs to bring to situations. Like, and I feel like a lot of the conversations across the frequencies right now in different ways is talking. It's not just about saying like there's only one thing to do. It's looking at something and saying, what do I need to bring to it? Do I need to persevere through something, or do I need to adapt more, right? So it's interesting, because I feel like this is a very interesting combination of cards that we see with the Empress and the Seven of Cups in its reversal and the Death card. Because I almost see that it's like some of this energy is like working through a rut, or working through a self-limiting belief, or working through a frustration as it relates to the self, or as it relates to a relationship. But the productivity that I'm seeing here, and in terms of like identifying and recognizing, I keep on hearing the unifying quality is making sure that there's a harmony in terms of the change that one is aspiring to bring forth, right? It has a lot to do with manifestation goals, because that is effectively the heart of manifestation. What are the changes? What is the articulation of the change that one is aspiring to bring forth? Now, continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Cups in its reversal and our Four of Wands in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with the Queen of Cups in its upright. It's really interesting too, because I just keep on seeing there's a lot of communication here. And I'm going to keep on affirming. I'm going to say this again, because I feel like it needs to be addressed. With all of this Gemini energy right now, it's really, really important that you don't jump to conclusions. I know that sounds a little counterintuitive given the fact that I described the energy, but that's exactly why. Because it's a lot of that, there's a lot of things happening at once. I mentioned yesterday, it's easy to get wires crossed. So that ability of like working through something in a way that allows for that sense of productivity, working through that clarity, it's like giving me like double checking energy. Like even double checking another person's feelings upon something. I just keep on seeing that it feels productive, but it's almost like it's working into, I told you, it's like I see energy like approaching things in a cautious way, even through this energetic cycle, which is helpful, right? Like it's like I just keep on seeing that there's almost like I said, when things feel like they're pushing you to speed up, slow it down, right? Like being able to set one's own pace and moving with that. I keep on seeing there's a lot of healing that's happening now. It's bittersweet healing for the energy in separation, because I just keep on seeing that there's something about the new energetic connections that are healing from the observation of a past connection where they're just being able to observe that them and another person wanted different things. Right? And when we want different things, it's painful. Right? It's painful. When we want different things, it's a painful thing to experience. But what I'm basically seeing is this is the energy. I keep on hearing some energy in separation that's saying, I don't want to be in a relationship where I feel like I'm constantly trying to convince someone why they should want the same manifestation goal as me, is all I keep on hearing. Right? And I feel like I keep on hearing the manifestation goal should be mutually agreed upon, shouldn't feel like it's constantly being in the modality of being convinced. Right? Because often when we feel like we're trying to convince another of our manifestation goal, it's usually the observation that we ultimately want different things. And that's why I see even now, like, I feel like I see a lot of energy, a lot of these new relationships, these magician partnerships, making peace with their past in the context of the new relationship. And what's beautiful about this is this isn't the energy saying it's fine, I don't care about that anymore. This is the energy that recognizes that the shape of life is holding care for everything we do, but observing the fact that sometimes we reach those impasse points when we ultimately want different things, and I keep on hearing that this is the energy that says, like, no hard feelings. But the no hard feelings that they're saying to themselves is a gift that they're giving themselves, because it's the observation of, again, working towards a manifestation that says the energy that's for me wants the same things as I do, right? Like, this is the energy. I see the energy going, why would I want a manifestation? Why would I want to manifest someone that doesn't want what I do, right? Like that's not my manifestation. Like, that's not my manifestation, right? I mean, like, unless you want to manifest someone that it's like, are you trying to manifest someone that you're constantly trying to convince them why they want to be there? It's like I keep on hearing the manifestation that feels like a celebration, not like not like you're dragging someone like with you. Now for the energy coming into divine union, and I think you guys probably noticed this has been happening ever since Pluto went retrograde. All these cards keep sticking to the table, which is fine. I just think it's very interesting to note, because I keep on hearing a lot of energy is doing the hard part first. The last conversation is becoming the first, and that's a good thing, right? Clarification between the Four of Wands with our Seven of Swords, and it's upright. Boom, Six of Cups. And this is why, right? For these energies in separation, I just keep on seeing this is the energy that I can almost hear the energy in separation saying, I always knew, like I hear some energy in separation saying, I always knew there was something wrong, right? I always knew that there wasn't that alignment point. But this is the energy that's recognizing that often when we try to face something, like that moment arrives. And this is why I keep on hearing the energy say, when you know something is energetically wrong, there's no convincing, right? I just keep on seeing that the energy saying, like, we hit an impasse. But this is what's beautiful. And this is why I told you these are the partnerships that I'm calling that they're in magician energy, because this is the energy saying better to do that right away. If what broke the last relationship would break this one, we're going to start there. Because that, like, I keep on hearing, like, the energy say, that is honoring the past relationship. because that's making that work not be lost. That's the energy saying, I don't want to repeat those energetic lessons. I don't want to have that same experience. So this is what I meant about the fact that a lot of this energy is holding accountability. And some of the accountability that they're experiencing is almost that conversation saying, I should have done this sooner in that relationship. So that's why we're doing this here. And it's interesting too, because I told you there's some slowness in these relationships. They're not coming together as quickly. But this is the energy that keeps on letting Saturn do the work, right? Better to do something slowly than to rush in and ruin something before it begins, is what I keep on seeing. Like there's a lot of this slow and steady energy, which is interesting given the fact that we're in Gemini season. Okay. Now, continuing for the energy coming into divine union, this is a lot. This is a lot of the energy that is working through some feeling of surrealness. Why is the energy coming into divine union right now feeling very surreal? Well, we saw the fact that for a lot of the energy, and this is what we talked about with that heart opening that probably happened during the Scorpio full moon. Navigating the reality of the peace that we often find feels unreal, right? Like it's like that like understanding and feeling how like what that feels like. It's I can see the energy like working through the fact that they're used to something more energetically volatile. Right? Working through a lot of that feeling of always having to put the guard up. And this is why I see this energy that's taking something day by day, right? They're not taking things day by day, saying that they're like trying to decide how they feel about something. They're saying they're taking it day by day because they're understanding that every day that they're able to build into that space of peace, every day that they're able to make that peace for themselves, this is how the surrealness becomes the new energetic reality, right? This is moving in accordance with one's higher self. This is often, and again, this is like the navigating, like I keep hearing, they're navigating the dream becoming reality. Because when we aspire for something, and we find it, we have to work through the unreality of what we experienced when we were introduced to it. But then when we start to navigate it and we're able to build into the space of letting this be something that we welcome towards ourselves, it's being able not only to experience the dream, but being able to find the peace within the self that allows the dream to become the energetic reality. Continuing to get clarification between, but it's not easy, right? Because even in that journey, especially with this 7 of 8 of cups and its reversal, it's having to do the work of putting down the weapon, right? The thing that used to protect them in the past, learning to be vulnerable again. You know, thank you. This is the work of the healthy boundary. It's not the fact that we have boundaries so that we keep them up forever and ever. We keep the healthy boundaries. And then when we finally find that energetic connection that's right, we learn to put our walls down. Continuing to get clarification between our 7 of swords in combination with our 5 of cups and its upright. One card to clarify, please. 2 of cups in its reversal. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on for the energy deep within divine union. This is interesting. The energy deep within divine union is working through the majesty of change. It's working through the majesty of change. And I'm not surprised to see that with all the work that we saw that was happening in Taurus season. Because, and we've got Mars in Leo, right? And this is what we meant, like the message that keeps on coming through is like, you know, and this is why this is the same lesson. If you're paying attention, this is the same lesson moving through all of the frequencies. Because we talked about the fact that if you want to, like, the message is basically coming through is, if you don't want to change, stay away from relationship, is what I keep on hearing. If you don't want to change, stay away from relationship, because relationship is where we go to change, right? It's like, but when we're in a healthy, and when we're in a not healthy relationship, it feels like we start to contort, right? We stop being able to recognize ourselves. We don't like what we see. We start feeling like that sense of uncomfortability. But when we are in a healthy relationship, it feels like that perpetual motion into transformation, right? It's feeling the elation of that change. It's feeling the excitement of understanding and recognizing like what you're trying to work towards, what you're trying to grow, what you're trying to change within the self. And so I keep on hearing that there's a lot of those, a lot of the relationships right now that are deep within divine union, they're having conversations on their own evolution, which is potentially talking about how much they've changed since they first came together, and where they're like, and what the path of change is as they go forward. And so there's a little bit of this like reverence there that I'm seeing, because this is the energy that's almost like talking about the surprises that they found within themselves on the way. But this is the energy that like, this is the commitment that we have in healthy relationship, right? I hear this energy saying it's a joy. It's joy to be surprised with you, right? It's a joy to go on that journey with you. Because even in the space of being able to see what awaits us, this is the energy that says, like that is that sense or that expectation of delight that they experience as they continue forward on that journey. Continuing to get clarification between our Death card in its upright in combination with our Queen of Cups. Can I get one card to clarify, please? There's the Wheel of Fortune in its reversal. Now, this is very interesting. I keep on making a joke like, what does it mean that Saturn has moved into Aries? I actually feel like it's very positive. I feel like everybody's getting a Saturn return suddenly. It's like you get a Saturn return, and you get a Saturn return, and you get a Saturn return, because Saturn return, like Saturn moving into Aries, is almost the recognition that the gift we give to one another is time. That time is energetically precious. And the thing is, and I think it's interesting, because Saturn in Pisces is almost like the space of feeling like there's a lot of it. Like, what do you do with the time, right? Like Pisces, Saturn in Pisces is kind of like, like it's like looking for something to put the time into. Saturn in Aries is more about focusing on the recognizing and identifying like what that point of energetic focus is. And I feel like it's hard work right now, because, I almost see that there's some conversations for energy and separation that is understanding the pain point, that sometimes the space of us seeing another person and saying we want different things is also doubly painful, in the recognition that if someone feels like they're still trying to find themselves, the day may come that they want the same things as we do, right? But this is why I keep on hearing that there's something about these magician relationships. I keep on hearing the word synchronous. Why are they saying synchronous? Because they're saying it's not enough to want the same things. We must be synchronous in relationality to when we want them. Because that's the difference between someone saying like, I want to do this on this timeline, and another person being like, I don't want to do that for another 20 years. You know what I mean? Like that difference that we often have in relationality, to not just the fact that it's like, this is what we talk about with alignment that's so difficult. It's not just enough for us to have the same manifestation. We must be synchronous in our manifestation. This is what we mean as it relates to an alignment. It's wanting that, and the healthy relationship moves us towards our manifestation goals, because they are not only in alignment in relationality to what those goals are, but we are synchronous as it relates to when we desire and aspire for them. So that modality of those experiences, why are these energies moving so slowly as they come together? I can see this energy going, yeah, I can figure out this person wants the same things as me, but are we synchronous? Do we want things with the same synchronicity? Do we want them in the same timing? right? It's not enough for someone to be like, do you want to get married someday? Someone could be like, yeah, I'll get married someday. 50 years. Like someone's like Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like, so that's that work that we see that's happening, because I keep on seeing that this is energy that is not bobbleheading through the manifestations. They're not going into those moments and being like, I want that too. They're saying they're being synchronous because they're like, I want that. Like, I want that here. I want that here. It's about the energetic placement in relationality to synchronizing the manifestations. And so that's why I see even now that there's something important that's happening, because I see that for some of the energy right now, these magician relationships they're coming together, they're recognizing that not only is their manifestation alignment, but they're synchronized as it relates to the timelines that they're trying to perpetuate across their own experience. And that's why I keep on seeing this could even be some energy, letting go of energy that was still in the space of saying they were trying to find themselves. Okay. And like, this is the thing, when we say we're trying to find ourselves, sometimes when we're trying to find ourselves, what we're really saying is, I don't know what I want. Right. And you can't be synchronized in a manifestation if someone's on a journey of finding themselves, because that could take forever. Is what I keep on saying. That literally could be a whole life. That could be a whole life. Continuing to get clarification between our queen. Woo! There it comes out. Do you see those fly out? For those who are listening to the podcast, I was like trying to shuffle the cards, and the next two cards just like flew out of the deck. They're like, here they are. We've got here the six of swords in its reversal, and the 3 of cups in its reversal. This is some beautiful stuff that I keep on seeing that's happening right now for a lot of the energy moving deeper into divine union. And I think it's really interesting too, because I see some energy coming into divine union that is working through the joint understanding that when we talk about the fact that the reason life is beautiful is because it's synchronous, as I see some energy saying, is what I found because I was ready, or did I find the right person that made me ready? And I love what the universe says when we ask this question. The universe just says yes, right? Like the universe just says yes, because that is the divine synchrony. Like it's the divine harmony that we often find in our own experience, right? We can never really unpack. We can never really recognize or identify. We can't go, was it this or that, right? Because that's why it's harmonic. Because when it's harmonic and it's in alignment, it's not just one thing or another. It's understanding the beautiful harmony that occurs when we start to walk in accordance with what we want to find. And also, like, we keep our eyes open and we look towards the universe, and the universe walks towards us, right? Like, so it's that moment of understanding that there's always an aspect of that feels like a point of wonder. And even in that space of wonder, like there's something that is, I keep on hearing there's something really beautiful and fragile, because there's the energy that says, I'll never understand, but I also don't need to. And that's why it's beautiful. Continuing to get clarification between our 8 of cups in combination with our 2 of cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, Page of Swords in its upright. And I feel like I'm not surprised to see the fact that a lot of the conversation, a lot of the lessons that are coming through right now are conversations as it relates to adaptability. And what's interesting about this, and I think that this is really curious, is the fact that I see that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, I feel like there's a lot of energy deep within divine union that's articulating upon a limit in adaptability. Okay? They're having conversations about the limit of adaptability. why are they having conversations as it relates to the limit of adaptability? Because what we're basically seeing is happening is it's not about being adaptable to everything, because what happens when you're adaptable to everything? You're fickle, right? When you become too adaptable, you become energetically flaky. You're like, you know what I mean? It's understanding that often we are defined, the beautiful juxtaposition of what we hold dear or what's energetically important to us, right? And so I almost feel like what's beautiful, and I keep on hearing this for a lot of the energy. This is what I meant with the fact that the energy deep within divine union is heavy in justice energy right now, because it is the conversation of talking about what is important, right? And when one has a sense of something that's important, you're much more adaptable as it relates to what else is occurring, right? So I think it's really beautiful because it's the energy that is refining upon what those, like, I even see like there's a little bit of that refining that's happening right now as it relates to manifestation goals. There may even be a little bit of feelings of changing them, making adjustments to them. But it's the appreciation of the adaptability and the adjustments, recognizing the arrival of the self, right? This is the energy that appreciates that even in the journey of being in partnership, they are seeing that the self is changed to such an extent that the manifestation goal is also changing, right? Like our dreams change in accordance with who we find as we continue on our own timelines. Continuing to get clarification between our Wheel of Fortune in its reversal, in combination with our Three of Cups in its reversal, in combination with our Six of Swords in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Wands in its upright. There's a lot of seven energy on the table. And I think it's interesting because I'm just checking. Yesterday, I feel like it was the day before we had a lot of seven energy. Yesterday, we had a lot of four energy. Like seven energy is often a conversation in relationality to, like it often, when I read for seven energy, it can often be conversations in relationality to perfect pitch, right? And the thing is, like, we're always perfecting our pitch. And when I say pitch, I mean that when we're trying to move into the space of understanding what is in alignment to us, right? It is the, I keep on saying this is a big conversation that's happening as it relates to nuance, as it relates to being able to know the self in a better way. And even in the space of recognizing what's not for us. And this is what I keep on seeing. And the reason I keep on seeing this here with the Seven of Wands and it's upright. And we were talking about this a bit yesterday in yesterday's reading. What I feel like is very painful for some energy right now that is in separation, building into really strong, fortified, energetic connections, is the observation that something that they moved away from in past relationship, it wasn't that they didn't see a way to fix it. It's that they would have felt like they would have had to lose themselves in the process of doing so. And that's why I keep on seeing that feels like almost like an energetic pain point, because this is the energy that is almost like working through the emotional karmic guilt of looking at something that they feel like they would have been able to fix, but also identifying and saying, it feels like it would have moved me too far off my path. I feel like I would have lost myself. I didn't recognize myself, right? It was like it's working through the conversation of what it would have taken to try to repair something. And this is why I feel like there's a lot of healing that's coming through in those conversations, because I hear this energy saying to one another, healing something should not come at the expense of the self, right? Healing something should not come at the expense of the self, because you have to give the self as much compassion as you would give another. It's not selfish. I see the energy trying to say to one another, it's not selfish to preserve the self. That is not selfish. It's self-preservation. And so this is why I feel like there's a lot of that healing there, because this is a lot of the energy that's working through some of the feelings of frustration about, like, saying, like, maybe there was something else I could do. And I keep on hearing the healing of contradiction as it relates to another person that says, it sounds like you did everything you possibly could, right? It sounds like, like I see the energy saying it's okay to have a limit, because your limit is your standard. Like I see the energy saying, and this is the energy that says, I'm never going to create a space of you having to push back like that, is almost what I see. Like the healthy relationship, I keep on hearing the healthy relationship isn't one that I keep on seeing the conversation I keep on hearing for the energy and separation is a healthy relationship expands horizons. Should feel like it expands horizons. It shouldn't feel like you're constantly feeling like your boundary is being pushed back, is what I keep on hearing. And that's happening across the frequencies. The healthy relationship expands horizons. It doesn't feel like you're constantly stumbling back upon like someone's constantly pushing against your boundaries in ways that make you feel like you lose yourself in the process. Continuing to get clarity. And like that in itself is why, we see so much of this energy that is these chariot partnerships that are learning to put this is exactly the same lesson that the energy coming into divine union is learning, because with the 6 of swords in its reversal, the 3 of cups in its reversal, and the page of swords, right? Clarification here. Yeah, there's that 10 of swords. Time to put the weapons down. This is the irony of having boundaries. We have boundaries for those who don't honor them. But then when we build into healthy relationships, the boundaries that we often have to create because of those who do not honor them no longer serve us. So what happens? I got to say that again. When we're building into healthy relationship, we often, once we enter healthy union, the boundaries that we needed for survival, the boundaries that help protect us from those that we needed them from, no longer serve us to the energy where we never needed them in the first place. So a lot of that work, this is the energy that's working on healing, understanding that there is a season for everything. And this is the energy that's saying, this is my season to learn to put the weapons down. Because once we move into a space of peace, it's not the fact that you can, it's not needing to, right? It's working through the ability of becoming vulnerable again. While for energy deep within divine union, this is the energy that's working on holding their energetic standards. This is the energy deep within divine union that is like working in the space of saying some things you just stay very firm on and you never move on them because you don't flex, because those are the exquisite standards about being able to articulate the difference between something. I keep on hearing this is more the continuation of something that we learned in Taurus season, which is the difference between stubbornness and something one is articulating upon because it's important. And again, it's more of the conversation and saying, if you're ever unsure if something you're holding on to is your ego, if it's stubbornness, or if it's divine insistence, the higher self, walk it through. Walk it through. Because again, what does the ego say when it's holding on to something? Because I want to. The ego always goes, because I want to, right? Because it feels good. The higher self says, how much time you got? We'll do this all day. We'll do this forever. We'll do this forever. We'll go through it one more time. Like the conversation that one can have with the higher self as to why something is energetically important often gives us the indication. I can see that this is the beauty of being in healthy relationship. And this is why it's really important to make sure that when we enter healthy relationship, that we've healed our egoic self, because that feeling of being able to have the partner that when that does not answer you in fear, that when you say to them, if there's something I'm missing, you tell me. Like, that's the energy and the pledge of the healthy energetic connection that says, I promise never to go easy on you in the space of love, which says, if I not only will I hold you in a space of love, but I will also tell you something that's hard to hear, because that is the expansion of my care. We don't just, I keep on hearing, we don't indulge each other. We help each other reach for the things that we're trying to reach, even if it's difficult, to be able to navigate something that we're working through. Final card for today's spread, between our Seven of Wands in its upright, that I keep on hearing, it's the divine critique, is what I was actually hearing, the divine critique, right? Because it's not criticism, it's critique, which is when you hold another person's dream, when you know what their aspiration is, and you see something that needs a little bit of refinement, you say, if there's something wrong, you'll tell me, right? It's the energy that says we promise to be hard on ourselves in the best way possible. Final card for today's spread, between our Seven of Wands in combination with our Ten of Swords in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification. Woof! I love it. I love it. We've got that Ten of Pentacles in its upright. This was in its upright yesterday too. This was in its upright yesterday too. And that's the beauty of it, right? You don't move into comfortability by being comfortable. You do the hard work, right? It's and that's why I keep on hearing the energy deep within divine union is in judgment, because it's a constant balancing act, right? It's like it's working in that space of understanding. It's not about I keep on seeing, it's not about sticking to a certain thing all the time. It's recognizing and identifying what's it going to take to get there, like what one needs to bring into a situation. Sometimes you have to do more of something. Sometimes you have to do less. It's like, and I keep on hearing, one must be adaptable in one's manifestation goals while never losing oneself in the process. And how do we do that? When we hold a clear identification point of our higher self, right? When we focus on the aspiration or the perception of the higher self, who we aspire to be, it helps us see more clearly as it relates to how to navigate situations. Because what does the higher self say? What is stopping you from being me? What is separating you? What is the space that separates what you aspire to be versus who you energetically are? Move in accordance with that, right? What would I do? What would I do? Like, this is how we find ourselves, right? We have to hold that aspiration of self sacredly. And what's beautiful about that is, even in those moments that we worry, and this is the beauty of healthy partnership, in those moments that we worry that we're not seeing something clearly, in those moments that we worry that we're too in our own headspace, in those moments that we worry that we're reading the room too much from the perspective of our own self, we have the healthy counterpart there that we say, is there something I'm not seeing? Is there something I'm energetically missing? Is there something I could do differently? And sometimes that counterpart says, yeah, I could be doing like, you know what I mean? You do a little bit of this, right? And sometimes it reassures us and they say, no, I wouldn't change a thing. You're doing everything perfectly. You just need to be consistent, right? It's working into that space of helping us identify and heal in the context of, and I love, here's the thing about it. For me, like, I know there's a lot of different cards that represent Gemini, but I actually think my opinion is the Ten of Pentacles is actually the Gemini card. because it's pinball energy. Okay, it's pinball energy. It's being able to work in the array. It's being able to see the possibilities, right? It's the moment that you do something over and over and over again. You put that force of effort into it. And then what happens on the other side of it? That you don't know entirely, right? And this is what we talk about with healthy manifestations, right? It's not just about trying to reach for something. Often this is why when we try to reach for a manifestation goal, we end up abandoning the manifestation, because what we find, who we become in the journey of trying to reach for something, it changes your perspective. You suddenly see things in ways that you couldn't see it before. And this is why we talk about a healthy manifestation isn't about getting stuff. It's about seeing things. And so this is a lot of the energy that's refining their manifestation goals based upon the arrival into their new perspective, into their new perception, right? It is the ever-changing manifestation. Sometimes we don't sometimes we recognize that we've moved into a manifestation because we find new dreams there, right? Continuing, for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that's trying to stay stable in the reality of the peace that they found. And it's hard because when we come into the reality of the new peace that we found, what does the trauma say? This can't possibly be real. This can't possibly remain. This is a phase. This isn't going to last, right? All those negative thoughts that come to the surface that make us doubt the reality of the joy that we found. And what do we say? Go back. Like, we move against that, right? This is why the energy I keep on seeing, like this is the Chariot energy, because this is the energy that says we focus on the peace we find. We make that peace every day. And it's not the fact that those same thoughts don't come out of the woodwork. They're always there. Trauma, I hate to break it to you, but we never enter a space that we can let go of trauma. We carry it with us every day. If trauma is the pain that sticks, if we could let it go, there's nothing sillier than to say to someone carrying trauma, you should just get over it. As if you ever could. The trauma is not something to get over. We build altars to the trauma. We recognize and honor how it's changed us, and then we move in accordance to it. And in that ability of doing so, we don't allow it to shape us. We move around it, right? We integrate it. We make it a part of ourselves. Because what does Saturn say? And these are the lessons that Saturn gives us, right? Whenever we have pain, Saturn says to us, I cannot take that pain from you. But I promise you something. If you stick around just a little bit longer, you come with me down the road, I'm going to show you something that maybe you didn't see before. I'm going to give you some more stuff to fill it, so that way it's not the only thing you feel. And I keep on seeing that there's a lot of this energy coming into divine union. I keep on hearing, doesn't make it better. Doesn't make it worth it. But it allows the context to be able to integrate it in a way that they never have before. This brings us to a lot of the energy in separation, because for a lot of the energy in separation, this is the energy that's feeling the unified alignment of being able to feel like they're not in isolation. If these were energies that felt like they were isolated in some kind of relationship, where they said like there's nothing, this is the energy that knows there's nothing worse. It's not about healthy relationship. You can be alone in union. Being in the wrong relationship can often feel like the loneliest place to be. It's not about just being with someone. It's about being in energetic alignment with how you perceive something. And so I see even now, like this is why I feel like there's some energy in separation that's trying to get over relationships where it felt like someone said they love me, but I was never really sure they liked me. And in that moment that they move into their authenticity and they allow themselves to be embraced, this is the energy that even now they're starting to hit these walls of contradiction, something that the trauma told them, and saying, I know you're saying that, but I've never seen that true in anything you've shown me, right? This is the energy that's finally being able to appreciate what it feels like to be in a relationship where their true self is celebrated, not reviled. Bottom of the deck on this reading, King of Swords in its reversal. So I feel like a lot of this work that we're seeing with the King of Swords in its reversal, I want to describe it like I want to say if you're feeling a little exhausted right now, it's very par for the course with this type of energy. Like the Gemini energy, it can feel it like there's so much of it right now. It can feel very it can feel very emotional. It can feel like you're like having to switch speeds all at once. It can feel like a lot of things coming towards you. I'm going to say it again. Now is not the time to be hyperbolic. Now is not the time to stop doing something because you don't feel like it. Okay? Remember, change for change's sake is not a manifestation goal. Okay? Neither is the fear of missing out. You're not going to miss out on anything that's for you. Okay? So make sure that you're being intentional with how you bring change to situations right now. That doesn't mean you cannot be spontaneous. Okay? Be spontaneous with intention. Okay? Think about, again, doing something in a way that you haven't before that potentially moves you closer towards a goal. Don't let irritation or annoyance at things right now pull you away from something that's in alignment to you, because the only thing right now with a lot of this energy with with Uranus and Taurus and so many planets in Gemini and Aries, like all these planets in Aries, it can create a lot of this I'm tired of this kind of energy. But I keep on seeing like tired of this isn't a manifestation goal. Okay. So focus on change towards manifestations if you're feeling like that. And if you're feeling a little overwhelmed in this energy right now, I want you to prioritize your manifestations. Take a page from the lessons that we had during Taurus season. Give yourself a little reward for what you're doing. Okay? Little treats. Taurus says little treats, little treats. You can complain while you do it, just little treats, right? But also, again, like working into that space. And also, I got to stress this. Don't let yourself get wires crossed in terms of what another person meant. Because I'm just saying, with all this Gemini energy flying around, no assumptions. Okay? Like I said, eclipse rules still apply right now. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I would never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the death card. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, June 11th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Temperance card. I'm so excited to be able to teach this class to you guys. It's a really fascinating card. We are going to study the history of the card, the symbology of the card. I'm going to work you through some spread applications, so how you can read that card in any position. It may arrive in your own readings. You're also going to be receiving a unique spread in that class. And all you need to do, if you would like to become a part of that class program, is mosey on over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I will be doing my best to give you an update on everything we've been studying prior to that class beginning, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. And you will also, if have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we are studying or have learned thus far. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That is access to over 14 hours worth of material in an ever expanding library. You will also have the option of receiving a one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally and assess where you are on your personal tarot journey to give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. You'll also be able to find my mystic meditation articles there. I just posted one about helping you work through some of how to utilize this Gemini new moon energy that we just came through. I want to let you guys also know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings. You can purchase these per dream or as a series. If you purchase the Dream Interpretation Reading series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.